You're listening to Cosmic Cousins' New and Full Moon podcast ritual for grounding your ass from all the New Age sass. I am your host, Jeff Henshaw. Cosmic Cousins is a soul-centered astrology podcast that also incorporates the tarot, and it is all to honor the interconnectedness of our universal family through embodied health, self-discovery, and deeper learning. Hey, Cosmic Cousins. I feel like I have been switching up the intro to the show pretty much like every time. But anyway, welcome to the show. Jeff Henshaw here. I am an astrologer and a tarot reader and a teacher. And I'm here to hold space for you in the community for the new and the full moon. And so here we are. We are at the final full moon of 2020. And what a year it's been. It's been such an honor to walk beside you as we have moved through this threshold of a year. So a lot has happened since we last gathered. The last time we gathered was for the Sagittarius solar eclipse, which occurred on, when was that? That was on December 14th, 2020. Now I'm recording this. This is December 28th, 2020. The Cancer full moon is December 29th, taking us right here at the end of this year. We started the year out with a Cancer eclipse, and then we had 2 Cancer new moons in the middle of the year, and now we close out this year with a Cancer full moon on Tuesday, December 29th, 2020 at 7:28 Pacific Standard Time and 10:28 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so some of you might even be experiencing this on December 30th. But it's Cancer full moon at the 8th degree and 53 minutes. So you can look at your own birth chart and see if you have anything around the 8th degree of Cancer or Capricorn. I know for me, I have Black Moon Lilith in Cancer right here at the 9th degree. That's getting hit up here on this full moon. So yeah, look to your own chart and see what kind of insights might come to you based off of what we dive into and explore today. But yeah, since we've last talked, I mean, that Sagittarius eclipse rocked me. I released a lot. There was a deep soul purge, which we might get into a little bit in this episode. And it was all setting us up for what was called the Great Conjunction, which is both Saturn and Jupiter are now in Aquarius, and they aligned in the sky at the 0 degrees of Aquarius, right there on the first day of Capricorn season on the December solstice. And so this marks a new 200-year cycle with the air element, a new 800-year cycle with the Saturn and Jupiter conjunction. There's a lot of information just here in this Aquarius conjunction. If you're curious about learning more, I did release a podcast episode 2 weeks ago for the Sagittarius solar eclipse, where I go into the Aquarius Great Conjunction. I also released an Instagram TV live video on the December solstice. I'll put a link in the show notes to that in case you're interested in diving deeper into that energy. But now, since we have both Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius, in my own life, I have felt the shifts majorly. I feel more energized. I feel more ready to be a support for you in new radical ways. I am a double Aquarius, so I'm leaving the 12th house, and so I'm ready to cultivate some more community. And we know Aquarius is the humanitarian. It's connected to community. And so I am excited to announce a few new offerings. The first one I'd like to announce is pretty big because I didn't actually think I was going to be doing this year. And as soon as the Great Conjunction happened, there was a huge opening and a lot of downloads and insights came into the importance of us all coming together and gathering in community. And as an Aquarius, I am here to help facilitate in that. And so the big announcement that I have for you all today is In honor of this Aquarius Great Conjunction, I'm really excited to be hosting the 6-month Fool's Journey through the Major Arcana of the Tarot once again. And so this will be my 6th time leading this 6-month journey. This time I won't be doing it alone. I'm teaming up with the incredible tarot reader and dear friend of mine, Aquarius Moon, Aquarius Venus, Anais, mystical Mandrake root. And so this Fool's Journey, it is near and dear to my heart. It is a deep dive ritual experience in which you and the participants will intimately touch base with the tarot archetypes, and these archetypes live within you and they live without you. And so we travel from the Fool all the way to the World card. It's a 22-week journey because there's 22 major arcana cards in the tarot. And so this journey, it's designed to deepen your tarot practice in an integrative and holistic way. It's equally for masters of the craft as it is for beginners. And what's exciting is that we're going to be gathering on Thursdays, which Thursday is Jupiter's day. We know Jupiter is in Aquarius. And the journey will begin on January 28th, in just a month, January 28th, 2021. And on this day, the Aquarius sun will be at the exact same degree as Jupiter on this day. The Jupiter and Sun conjunction at the 9th degree of Aquarius. So if you're longing to connect with the philosophy of the Fool's Journey while joining together in community, then go ahead and take my hand and step off the cliff into the unknown world that awaits. To find out more information and to learn how to enroll, click the link in the bio or go to cosmiccousins.com and then click on Fool's Journey. It'll be in the top right corner of the website. And so, enrollment for the Fool's Journey starts on January 5th, 2021, but you can go ahead and fill out a form now. And so, if that's not calling to you right now, I do have another exciting offering coming out. It's called Cosmic Shift. And I'll be leading a monthly Zoom gathering with Adriana Rizzolo, who is an Aquarius rising, and it's called Cosmic Shift. And so these gatherings, we will be exploring writing, astrology, and embodiment practices. So if you'd like to learn more about that, stay in touch with me on Instagram or look for more information in the Capricorn New Moon newsletter, which will be released on January 11th. In the meantime, if you'd like to book an astrology or tarot reading, I do have some available for February and March. You could also become a Patreon member for the show. We had quite a few new Patreon members sign up over the last 2 weeks, and I'll be shouting you out on next week's episode. I think that's it for announcements. All I have for today: Fool's Journey, Cosmic Shift, and I have readings available. And so, now we're ready to get into the final podcast episode for 2020. So, of course, as always, we're going to honor the full moon in Cancer. So we're going to dive deep into these Cancerian waters, cardinal water for this one. So you can go ahead and get your tarot cards out for Cancer. That's the Chariot, which is the soul growth card. Each week that we gather, I will invite you to pull some cards out, intentionally pull the cards out. And so we've got the Chariot, which is soul growth for Cancer. We have the High Priestess, which represents the moon. This is Cancer's ruling planet. And I like to use the Knight of Cups for Cancer. Knight being cardinal, cups being water. So you can go ahead and place those out. Also on this week's episode, we have a very special guest. So we have an intimate conversation with Sarah Faith Gottesdiener, who is a Cancer sun with a Gemini moon and a Taurus rising. And some of you may know Sarah. Sarah is the author of the newly released book, which is the Moon Book, Lunar Magic to Change Your Life. Sarah is also the creator of the beloved Mini Moons Lunar Planners and is the host of the podcast Moonbeaming, which I highly recommend. And it was truly an honor and a joy to connect with Sarah in this way. And so our conversation will come towards the end of the episode. It's about an hour-long conversation. We get really intimate. We cover many topics, and they're all very Cancerian. So some of the topics that we talk about are nourishing your moon. We reflect on 2020. We talk about Cancer and Aquarius, particularly in relationship to the Aquarius Great Conjunction, reparenting yourself, Cancer and the energy body, accepting your own rhythms as reality, tarot as a container for intuition, new moon potions, the Chariot as Cancer's soul growth, lineage beyond blood family, ancestral remediation, communication and Gemini moon, 2021 as the Hierophant year, and Taurus rising and radical generosity. So it is a jam-packed conversation, so stick around for that combo with Sarah Faith Gottesdiener. And at this time, let's transition into this final full moon episode for 2020 for the Cancer full moon. I reflect, I heal, I go within. Each time that we gather, I will offer 3 I phrases for you to reflect on and to maybe fill in the blank, maybe pull a tarot card for each one. What I have been intuitively feeling for this Cancer full moon are these 3 phrases. Again, I reflect, I heal, I go within. So the Cancer full moon, Cancer rules over the breast, the belly, the rib cage. Again, the breast, the belly, and the rib cage. And so this is mother of all mothers. Cancer is the mother archetype. So this Cancer full moon, it holds the potential to soothe and nourish the parts within ourselves that feel really tender and really raw. Remember, full moons are these culminating points, and so emotions can feel really heightened under the light of the full moon. It can come to a place of deep insight where we become really conscious of our unconscious patternings, and particularly with the Cancer full moon. And so what's particular to this Cancer full moon is that we also have Chiron and Aries at this moment in time that is square this Cancer full moon. Chiron being cardinal fire, Cancer being cardinal water, and so old wounds around shame and abandonment may resurface at this time, particularly as it relates to home, self-care, mother, or parents. And so for those of you that are feeling that Aries energy of the warrior and wanting to go a bit deeper and going deeper into the unconscious, which Cancer is going to encourage us to do, the energy that's available under this full moon is really profoundly potent for doing some deep dive work. And so this might include some sort of deep exploration into the unconscious realms. This could be forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others. There could even be cord-cutting ceremonies that you could partake in on this Cancer full moon, because Cancer is about ancestral karma, releasing ourselves from the binds of ancestral karma, past experiences, releasing ourselves from the binds of inherited familial patterns that are no longer supporting us. And so a question that you could reflect on here on this Cancer full moon is, how might you set yourself free from the past in order to make space for a new direction? Cardinal water. Cardinal signs initiate. They're new. Cancer is about new direction, but a new direction that is more intuitively in alignment with the evolution of you. So how might you set yourself free from the past in order to make space for new direction? So for those of you that are feeling like you're not wanting to go deep on this Cancer full moon, if you're feeling a little extra sensitive or emotional, then this Cancer full moon may encourage softness, love, healing. And so breathing into the belly, breathing into the rib cage and the breast. Honor your body as your home. Cancer connects us to the home, but we first start with the body. So I go within. I heal, I reflect. And so be extra sweet and gentle with yourself, and also be extra sweet and gentle with other people. And so Cancer does encourage us to find a loving balance between that. All the cardinal signs in many ways are about balance. So how might you care and nourish yourself at this time? are you giving and receiving nourishment in a loving balance? So process your emotions. Let yourself feel your emotions. Whatever grief is arising at this time, hold space for it. Cancer is about creating a container for holding space. And the esoteric phrase for Cancer is, I build a lighted house and therein dwell. And so we're creating a space for our emotions, for healing. We are channeling our emotions and our grief into cultivating beauty. It's making me think of Queen of Cancer, that was named by you all in the Cosmic Cousins community, is Frida Kahlo. And so Frida Kahlo, very much through her life and work, had this incredible ability to channel her emotions, her grief, her pain around her body into her art, into beauty, into her fashion. So the Chariot, we said, is the soul growth card for Cancer. And the Chariot, we'll see, is someone who has armor on and is usually in a still position. And so the Chariot symbolizes this sacred pause in the stillness of preparation before the initiatory phase of the Fool's journey. And so here during this Cancer full moon, we are in this sacred pause. I often think of a pregnant pause with Cancer. And so when we think of Cancer and its connection to the ocean, it's when the tide pulls in, pause, and then the tide comes back out. And then there's a pause. So it's like the pause between the ebb and the flow. This is Cancer. Or it's the pause between breath. It's like we inhale, and then there's that sacred stillness, and then there's the exhale. So we can feel into the medicine of Cancer in that in between. And here we are on this crest into a new year, but also we're here at the crest of an old year. And so it's here in our charioteer, whether that chariot that you find yourself getting into is your bathtub or your bed or your home or your car or your body. It's here that as a charioteer, you learn to listen to the wisdom of your container, learn to realign with the wisdom of your body, learn to realign with the wisdom of your home, and so that you can align it with your willpower, and your willpower as connected to your intuition. This is the Chariot. And so it's not with force or ambition that we're using this desire to push forward or to evolve, but it's with intuitive confidence, where you are listening to the rhythms of your own cycles within yourself. This is the power of cardinal water. This is the power of the Chariot. And so as the soul growth card for Cancer, the Chariot does speak to the deeply empathic and guided deeper knowings of the crab that moves side to side. And so Queen of Cancer, Frida Kahlo, reflected this through her life and work. She did have an ambition, but it was an artistic ambition. It was an emotional ambition, cardinal water. She honored the grief of her ancestors while also moving toward beauty. She was reviving and celebrating the indigenous traditions of ancient Mexico. And so on this Cancer full moon, we are honoring our emotions, we are honoring the past, but we're also sensing the guidance needed to move us forward on our journey towards wholeness. And so we're in Capricorn season. Happy Capricorn season to all the Capricorns out there. Capricorn Sun, Moon, Rising. This is your time of year. We get to shine a light to you. And so it is a hard-working time of year. It is a long-term focus. We start planning for the future. It is a time period of resourcefulness. But it can also be a time period of deep solitude and rest, too. We have the Cancer polarity action happening right now. And so our Queen of Capricorn is Michelle Obama, and our Queen of Cancer is Frida Kahlo. So it's interesting to think of these two women as these archetypal placeholders for us to feel into the embodiment of the energy. But both of these women were very much activist and have been activists through their life and their work. Michelle Obama in a very practical, public-oriented way. Frida Kahlo in a very emotional and centered around home and family sort of way. And so right now, to sense into and feel into the energy, we have the sun in Michelle Obama.
How we explain that when someone is cruel or acts like a bully, you don't stoop to their level. No, our motto is, when they go low, we go high.
And full moon and Frida Kahlo. So you'll sense with this polarity that both Capricorn and Cancer are connected to honoring tradition and ancestral lines. Capricorn does it in a much more public, practical way. Cancer does it in an emotional, reflective way. Frida Kahlo is the one queen of the zodiac wheel that there are no clips of her actually speaking. It's much more reflective. We look at her paintings, we look at her fashion, we honor her story and her lineage. And yeah, so we're feeling into that here. And so again, process your emotions and grief by creating and cultivating beauty. Honor the past, but release the past as well so we can step and move forward in alignment with our intuition. And so, connecting to the earth is great too if you're feeling overly emotional, eating food for the soul, reflecting on and honoring your home. If you are currently without a home or you are wanting to transition homes, this full moon offers illuminating insight around the themes of home in your life. And so call in whatever it is that you desire in home here too, and also around themes of family and motherhood. If you are able, take a bath, particularly with some rose petals. Here on my altar, I do have a yellow rose. I'm going to be doing that later tonight or tomorrow. Place one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart. I often do this with Cancerian energy. Slow down your breathing. You can do that now. Just take a deep breath into the belly, all the way up to the heart, into the breast. Deep, nourishing inhale. And then complete full exhales. And so we are slowing down the breath to reflect the rhythm of the waves. And so may this Cancer full moon cultivate a deeper connection within. Again, Cancer full moon at the 8th degree of Cancer, Tuesday, December 29th, 7:28 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is the final full moon of 2020. And it's going to offer us some reflections on the Cancer-Capricorn nodal axis. And so you may remember, particularly those of you who are a Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising, this is your full moon. Or if you have the North Node in Cancer, you will likely remember that the beginning of 2020 started with the Cancer North Node. We since have transitioned into the Gemini North Node in May of 2020. But this Cancer full moon is calling to mind the Cancer North Node and is going to extract and illuminate some final reflections around the Cancer North Node. And so if you do have Cancer North Node, this is a big full moon for you. And so the final full moon of the year, again, we reach a culminating point of heightened emotion and insight. Since Cancer is the one sign ruled by the moon, this full moon specifically offers you a time to honor the moon itself in the sky, in your own natal chart, revisiting the moon cycles of 2020 as touchstones for reflection. That's something I'm going to do. I'm going to spend time some journaling and reflecting on the new and the full moons of this year, just kind of like filling in some notes and journaling. I am connecting to my own natal moon. I have a Virgo moon, and I find that, during full moon times, I like to connect with my Virgo moon, so I usually clean and organize. But yes, specifically Cancer. So the Cancer full moons of this year, we started out 2020 with a Cancer full moon, and then we end the year with a Cancer full moon. So we started out with a Cancer full moon lunar eclipse, and that was on January 10th, 2020. So think back to this time, right at the beginning of 2020. This was just 2 days before the Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn. So this transit, the Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn, is often associated with pandemics, and particularly this one in Capricorn, it's connected to the first reported case of COVID-19. The Cancer full moon lunar eclipse and the Saturn-Pluto conjunction back in January of 2020 has been marked by the event of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle leaving the royal family. So we're thinking back to that time period. We also have the June solstice. So June 20th, 2020, there was another Cancer eclipse, and this brought with it major shifts as related to home, self-care, mother, family, and healing the past. And that was right around a time period where the Black Lives Matter movement was really building momentum. And so that was another placeholder of the year. And then now we have the Cancer full moon here right at the end of the year. And so this is setting us free from the Cancer Capricorn nodes of fate, our nodal axis. It's closing out that 18-year cycle around Cancerian themes in all of our lives. And so we begin to settle into whatever fateful realignments or shifts or awarenesses that have occurred along the Cancer-Capricorn axis in our birth chart. I know with the podcast, back in June on the Cancer eclipse is when I shifted the podcast towards being a new and full moon podcast ritual. And I do have Cancer in my 6th house of work. And so the way that I am working with you all is by following the moon. I've also noticed in my own life, I moved to Portland, Oregon on the summer solstice. During the Cancer eclipse, again, home, I moved homes. And so now here, half a year later on this Cancer full moon, I finally feel myself settling in and integrating what that shift and move means for me. And so an example of that would be, before when someone asked me what brought me to Portland, I gave like a long-winded response that in many ways diverted the question, because I don't think I actually was conscious of why I moved here. But just this week, when someone asked me why I moved here, for the first time, I simply said, to heal. I moved to Portland to heal. And I felt a shift within that own person when I said that, and that's when this person responded to me and said, yeah, me too. And there was a moment of connection and an opening for intimacy. And so this is the sort of deep realizations and energetic realignments that are available to us under the light of this Cancer full moon. And so in what ways are you fully surrendering and leaning into the healing desiring to transpire in your life? In what ways are you fully surrendering and leaning into the healing desiring to transpire in your life at this time? And there has been a whole build-up to it in 2020. In what ways are you healing? So for many, this year has been a year of more time spent at home than ever before. We know Cancer rules over the home. I know for me, I've taken it a step further, and I've been taking more baths this year than any other year too. So shout out to Cancer North Node there. So yes, a deeper intimacy to self has resurfaced, a deeper intimacy to self-care. For others, it hasn't been as much about home as it's been being frontline workers or nurses and doctors. Many people have been asked to provide in new responsible ways. We had Jupiter and Capricorn on the other side of the wheel. But to provide health services to the community, caretaking is also a major theme connected to the Cancerian archetype. So home and caretaking. There's also been major opportunities around the Cancer-Capricorn axis to stand up for our community, to take care of one another. And so on this Cancer full moon, I'm calling to mind Breonna Taylor, whose life was taken too soon by police breaking and entering into her home. I'm also calling to mind the many parents that have shifted their lives to be homeschool teachers, I'm calling to mind teachers. I'm calling to mind the wall of moms locking their arms during a Black Lives Matter protest. I'm calling to mind all of those who have lost family members this year. It's been a deep year. This year was initiated with a Cancer lunar eclipse. Then in the middle of the year, we had back-to-back Cancer new moons, one of which was a solar eclipse. And now in the final days of 2020, we close out this threshold of a year with one final Cancer full moon. And so it's been a year of heartache, grief, and loss, home and togetherness, caretaking and community, family and emotional support. And so it's my wish that this full moon brings you deep closure to 2020 and offers you a preparatory pause of reflection for easeful transition as we move forward into 2021. So I'm wishing Cancer full moon blessings to you all. I think we can also, there's another part of this too. Cancer is going to have us looking forward too. And so the other side of it is that looking forward into the new year, this Cancer full moon is the first full moon after the Aquarius Great Conjunction. So this feels majorly significant for many reasons, because that's such a huge portal vortex, the Aquarius Great Conjunction, and then to have a Cancer full moon following it, this highlights the importance of emotional connection, of support as we expand out into the cosmic realms of Aquarius. And so as the collective vibration continues to radically shift over this next year, to be sure, but also over the next 200 years as denoted by the major shift into the air element as signified by this great conjunction, this Cancer full moon is here to remind us of the importance of grounding into our emotional body, of fully feeling our emotions, connecting through intimacy, and having radical self-care as a tool in our own life so that we can then take care of other people in the collective and in the community. And so the Aquarius Great Conjunction followed by the Cancer full moon, it does feel auspicious. It's calling to mind the need for reflection on the meaning of what family is. So we're expanding in that Aquarian way beyond our Cancerian blood relatives or beyond our lineage. And as we continue to ascend into higher planes of consciousness, the Cancer full moon is here to remind us to call in greater support, to open ourselves up to soul family, to cosmic cousins. So if you feel isolated or alone, and oftentimes Aquarian energy may have us feeling alienated, right? How might you open yourself up, particularly on this Cancer full moon, to the vulnerability of receiving in new ways? So if you are longing for community and connection, this full moon encourages you to tap into that, to feel into that desire, and to cultivate that desire into an intention for new communities, for new soul family that is supportive of your evolution. So inviting greater love, compassion, connection, inviting greater alignment, creation, and soul family. And so it's my wish for us on this Cancer full moon that our relationship to community and collaboration flows with ease and grace. And so we're breathing into all of that. Again, if you are longing for the supportive community, I do have new offerings coming out. The Fool's Journey, the 6th month immersion through the Major Arcana of the Tarot ritual immersion will be open for pre-enrollment in just a week on January 5th. I also have Cosmic Shift coming up, and so I'm feeling the call to connect with you all in the community in a more intimate way. And so I'm wishing for you a sweet and nourishing Cancer full moon. To all of you Cancers out there, Cancer sun, moon, rising, thank you for all that you do for us. I'm sending you all sweet love. Happy New Year to you. At this time, we're ready to transition into the next part of our show, where we will continue on many of these themes in our conversation with Sarah Faith Gottesdiener. Today with us on the show, we have Sarah Faith Gottesdiener, who is a Cancer Sun with Gemini Moon and Taurus Rising. Sarah is the author of the newly released The Moon Book, Lunar Magic to Change Your Life. She is the creator of the beloved Mini Moons Lunar Planners and is the host of the podcast Moon Beaming. And it was truly an honor and joy to connect with Sarah in this way, and so I really hope you enjoy the conversation. And so we'll go ahead and tune into that now. So Sarah Faith Gottesdiener is here with us today on the show. I'm super excited to connect with you. Thanks for being here with us.
I am so honored and so excited to be here with you and all of the lovely listeners out there today.
Yeah, thank you. I thought a cool way for us to start our time off together was I wanted to read a passage from your book, your new book that just came out. Congratulations. It's The Moon Book, Lunar Magic to Change Your Life. And so sometimes when I get a new book, I like to just drop in a very divinatory way and just open up to a page and see what wants to come out. So this is the message for us today. It's nourishing your moon. So Sarah writes, nourishing your inner moon fertilizes the soil of your soul. Your inner moon is a wide and expansive place that exists beyond language. It is a spectrum of the past, a source of ancestral wisdom, and a watery cave of healings and archaic hurts. This place is your ocean heart and your most exciting holographic visions. Your inner moon is a tiny dark room of grief and tears and a lava-soaked stadium where you are allowed to gleefully rage.
I love that. And nourishing your moon, I know you said this episode is a Cancer moon episode, so that's very Cancerian moon, right?
It is. Yeah, we're here honoring the Cancer full moon at this time. And, you are a Cancer sun. So it comes through in a lot of your offerings and your work. And so much of what you do is you are shining a light, sun to the moon. That's what you do. So beautiful words, and the poetry of it and the reflection of your words too is also giving us the water element feels. And you're also Gemini moon too. So the gift of words, the divine communicator. So I know writing a book can be a huge and enormous task. And so I'm curious. For me, I published a book this year as well. And I'll sometimes look in it, I'll be like, did I write that? So I'm curious what it was like for you to hear your words read back to you at this time. Listen,
I would much rather hear your lovely voice reading them than mine. It sounds very nice. Yeah, I was going to talk about you've written, haven't you written several books?
No, just one at this
for now.
Point. But there's a lot inside of me. So
yeah. Writing a book, it feels great to hear my words read back to me. Absolutely the same. The book it was about 1 year of writing, and then it was about another 6 months or so of editing. So there is that distance where you're sort of not quite always sure what comes through. And writing the book was such a monstrous process. I wrote so much more than what made it into the book. So I don't quite remember what made it in and what didn't, Right. So I'm like, hey, what you just read, I'm like, that sounds great. I'm like, I co-sign on that, makes sense to me.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to diving deep into it. And I'm hoping to use Capricorn season to go deep within and do this kind of work. So it's really good timing. And where might we pick up a copy of the book?
Anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah. Anywhere. I always want to tell folks to support your local bookshops in this time. So please support your local bookshops. There's, I think on my website, the Moon Book, there's links to IndieBound, to Bookshop, or you can just make a call. Jeff, you're in Portland, National. I know Carrie's at Powell's. All the big ones do. That's why I decided to go with a publisher after self-publishing for about 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to share this with you, which connects me to your Gemini moon. Gemini is connected to the neighborhood and synchronicities when you're walking in your neighborhood. And so yesterday on the solstice, the winter solstice, we're recording this a week before the full moon. I went on a walk in my neighborhood and I happened upon a store called Altar. And I walked in, and on the front desk there, your books are displayed there. And I was like, oh my gosh, so cool that I'm seeing this the day before I'm meeting with you. So I'll put a link in the show notes to Altar, which is a local bookstore in Portland. And you can either order from them, or I'll put some other links in the show notes too.
Love that. I love that. Yeah, Cassie's great. I lived in Portland for quite a while. And so I have quite some ties to a lot of the local stores there, because that was my neighborhood. Speaking of Gemini moon, that was my neighborhood. Portland was my neighborhood for a very long time.
Yeah. And you even mentioned that in the email correspondence that we had, like that you asked for my address, and then you're like, oh, my sweetheart, like lived a few blocks from you. And I was like, there's the Gemini moon. Yeah.
Portland was an incredibly special place for me. It was where I met my first witches, my first like IRL real life witches, who were my friends, and they were gay and they were queer. And that was really important to me. And that was like very singular in my life. And I met my sweetheart there, and I just grew so much as a person. It was the first time I had been able to be in queer community. Like I'd never had that, because I moved there in my early 20s, and it was just an artistic community when I lived there. So it will forever hold a really special place in my heart.
Beautiful. And do you yourself identify as queer?
Oh yeah, I'm gay. I'm queer. Mm-hmm. Yeah. My partner's trans. I've identified as every, like I first came out as bi when I was 15. Then I came out as a lesbian when I was 21. Then I came out as queer when I met my partner, who is a dude, who's a trans dude. So I've been like basically anything you could kind of identify with other than straight, I suppose.
Yeah. I'm feeling more the Gemini moon coming in too, which is I always think of Gemini as it's just fluid, and I think of duality with Gemini too. So that's cool. So Cancer full moon, here we are, gathering under the light of this full moon. And I'm curious what this portal is bringing up for you. And just, it's the final full moon of this year of 2020. We're closing out with a bang here. And what are you reflecting on here as we have this final full moon?
I am reflecting on how, more than any year in my memory, and I think a lot of our memories this year absolutely underscored how what we do affects every other person, of how interconnected we all are, oftentimes whether we like it or not, how there can be other ways, how the system isn't working, and how the system is so embedded in all of us. And so we need to really sink into both the Cancerian energy of this full moon, care, compassion, sweetness, intimacy with self, with others, and also this Aquarian energy of thinking about other people, thinking about the collective, thinking about what healing can look like and can feel like. And I think it's really important for us to be in a space where we can touch base energetically and through our heart with what it feels like to allow new ways of being and feeling and seeing and being with one another and ourselves to move through, so that we can really create these new worlds. Because I really see 2021 as this embodiment. It's the Hierophant. It's embodiment. It's I can say something. I can say, oh, I believe in this, or, oh, I don't want this. But until I'm actually doing that in my life, until my words, until my actions reflect that. And of course, we're all complicit. There's always limitations. We're at the mercy oftentimes of systems that are much greater than us, but systems are made out of people, right? So we have to just remember that how we act, like going back to my first part of this statement, impacts and affects more people than we could ever even really know. So I think like taking in this vision of care, taking in this vision of understanding that like we actually can change things. like all of the answers are already there. It's just a matter of joining together and doing them more, and the small things add up. So that's where my heart is at. That's where my head is at. I think that the full moon is going to be a really beautiful full moon. Jeff, you can absolutely speak to the astrology of it. But for me, a Cancerian full moon is this really beautiful excuse, I suppose, or time to like parent ourselves and to let ourselves be who we are and give ourselves what we need so that we can affirm that, because that's healing. Because when we don't abandon ourselves, that's healing, right? On a heart level, on an inner child level, maybe we can become the parent we never had. Maybe we can reach out to other people, let them know what our needs are, or whatever that is. It's a great time to explore your needs, your heart's desires, and to let yourself be with yourself in like an intimate, loving way.
Yes, to all of that. And one of the key words that I heard you say was interconnectedness, which is so, I mean, coming out of this great conjunction in Aquarius, which teaches us interconnectedness, and then having the Cancer full moon is also like, these two signs, it's cool because I'm an Aquarius sun, you're a Cancer sun, and here we are sitting with each other. And it's in conjunct. We're on opposite sides of the wheel, but the in conjunct pair makes an isosceles triangle. And I find resonance with the in conjunct pairings. And I think Cancer brings in like that family side, and then Aquarius brings in the collective. And so it is like, there is a great deal of like soul family that I'm feeling. I even have it written out on my altar right now. It's something that I'm feeling moving into the new year. And so much of what you shared is resonating with me on a really deep level. And I'm excited to listen back to it and to receive it again. Yeah.
Some of my favorite people are Aquarians. Some of my best friends are Aquarians.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have a lot of Cancers in my life too. So that makes a lot of sense. We just moved through this eclipse portal, which also takes us back to the summer solstice, which we had someone write in on Instagram, Hierophant, on Instagram writes in, I put a lot of weight on the Cancer new moon in July. Would love to hear about that narrative. And so I just have some of the dates for us. So there was 2 Cancer moons this past June and July for us to reflect back to. There was the Cancer solar eclipse on the summer solstice, which was June 21st. And then another Cancer new moon to end out Cancer season, which was July 20th, 2020. So what are you sensing about this polar time of the year?
It's so interesting. As you were speaking, first I was like, wait, summer solstice? That was 17 million years ago. What was even happening? Every day in this year has been like 3 months. So it's really difficult. But, on the summer solstice eclipse, I felt called to make an essence called Tending the Heart, actually. I'm a little bit too on brand here, but it was really beautiful. And I spent 3 or 4 hours with it in ceremony in my garden, bringing in crystals. And it was really beautiful. And then I gave it to all my friends when it was ready. I sent like little care packages. And on the I believe you said it was the full moon in July, I moved my studio. And, eclipses are always like moving. Sometimes it's not a good move, like it's a painful move, like a breakup. And sometimes it's a good move. It's like, a better career opportunity or more fun city or whatever that may be. But that's interesting, thinking about that we've had 3 Cancerian lunar energies this year. It's sort of like the universe is trying to get us to pay attention to our heart, trying to get us to pay attention with intimacy. I think that is difficult for a lot of us, to do. And I think that, a lot of times full moons, as you know, Jeff, culminate with culmination, or resonate with culminations. So I'm really wondering if this could also be an opportunity for us to look back on how far we've come and getting to know ourselves in certain relationships, maybe that we've done work on, or certain relationships that have had to go, and the ways that we treat ourselves. I don't think any of us have any more space to treat ourselves poorly anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think we have any space to self-sabotage or to be cruel to ourselves. I don't think any of us have the space to let in abuse from other people in our intimate lives, you know? And so I could really see that this full moon could be an underscore of that, and really thinking about, for me, Cancerian energy is very much about subtle waves of how our entire energy field is made up. It's our levels and layers of consciousness. It's our emotions. And then it's how we sense, like how we sense energy, you know, and thinking about like what's going on in your energy field. What does it need? Where are your energetic leaks? Where do you feel most yourself? I think that can align for this full moon with a lot of folks, but I'd love to hear your take on all of that, Jeff.
Yeah. So when you're saying like learning to take care of ourselves and just cultivating that space in our life, I'm hearing still that ripples of the interconnectedness of the Aquarius portal too, because we have to take care of ourselves first and learn to be our own parent, so that we're then kinder to the world around us too. And, you know, it has been such a heavy year focused on technology and the internet. And, you know, right now it's thinking of the Cancer Aquarius energy. We're both in our homes, and we've spent more time at home. Many of us, not all of us, but a lot of us have spent more time at home in 2020 than we have in any other year. And so having this Cancer full moon, it's just honoring home. For one, the container that it creates for you, and then that container that it creates for you then connect with people, Aquarius, online through technology. We're doing both right now in our home. And so there is that. How are you taking care of yourself, and how does that create a ripple in the way that you are sending out that love to other people in our community? Because we all need that healing right now. And so if you're finding that people have been lashing out on you on the internet, this goes for all of us. Are they doing their Cancerian deep work right now? You know, and so that's something that I'm reflecting on, just bouncing off of what you're sharing.
Yeah. Well, as you were talking, you know how there's that refrain, who hurt you? You know, if someone's just like so cruel for no reason, you're like, who hurt you? It wasn't me, but now you're lashing out at me. And as you were saying, what we do affects other people. Like, we've all been around someone who's in like a bad mood or someone who's grumpy. That affects us, you know, whether we like it or not. I know that myself as a Cancerian, I'm super sensitive to energy. So I have to be really mindful. Am I carrying other people's emotions? Mm-hmm. Or mine? Is that mine? Is that yours? And so that's the other thing to watch out for at this full moon. Are those even your emotions? You know, are things getting blurry here? If you're feeling overly emotional, that's really beautiful, and you can release that, and you can look at that, and you can be with those emotions. But I also think that one of the life's lessons for people with a lot of Cancerian energy is really learning like where we end and where the world begins, because it can sometimes be tricky if you haven't sort of figured that out. Yeah.
I just noticed today that you announced on Instagram that you're logging off for the rest of December and January to go into like some deep rest, vision, to reconnect. This feels so aligned to the Cancerian archetype to me, because it teaches us, the sign teaches us about rest. It teaches us about being in alignment with our deeper knowings, our intuitive rhythms, which is something that you write about in your book. And to use your words, you say, accept your own rhythms as reality. Has this always come easily to you as a Cancer?
No. You know, we're just not taught. I wish I could go back in time and spend part of my life creating a nursery school for empaths, intuitives, you know, for everyone, actually. I wish we could just write it into the curriculum of our preschool or of our public schools, kindergarten, because like boundaries are really important. I didn't know that a lot of why I was so introverted and why I was so shy was because I was very highly sensitive. And I learned that over time, and I'm still learning it as an adult. But it's part of, again, it goes back to being able to understand energetic subtleties and being able to understand where I end and where the world begins, because it can be really overwhelming. And for me, like, I had to create a container for my intuition. And that came in the form of tarot for the most part. And so that in being able to spend time with tarot and being able to spend time with clients being intuitive and being psychic, I was able to mitigate some of that other transference or distortion or whatever that may be. I can now like safely go to the grocery store, but I couldn't actually always say that. Like it wasn't always like going to a party. I always tell people when you're super sensitive isn't like going to a party, you know, it's not actually, we just want to stay home because there's so much stuff if we haven't put up our boundaries and if we haven't learned how to be in our body and learn not to take on stuff that isn't ours, that can be a real issue, like emotional processing for other people. And I think that's where some of the, you know, shadow side of Cancer comes in. That can be one of the issues that we have to deal with.
Yeah. I love hearing you say create a container because the esoteric phrase for Cancer, which is channeled by Alice Bailey, who was a Gemini, is I build a lighted house and therein dwell. So this is the phrase for Cancer. So I build a lighted house and therein dwell. This is building a sacred container for the expansion of consciousness, a lighted house. And this is something that Cancer then, once they do for themselves, they're able to do that for other people. And so much of your work and your offering, like with your lunar planner, is building a sacred container for people to expand their consciousness and their healing. And so just acknowledging that and reflecting that back to you.
Thank you. It's beautiful. I love that phrase.
Yeah. So I want to share an image with you here. I'm going to share the screen. Boom, there's your birth chart. But here's Frida Kahlo depicted as the chariot, which is soul growth for Cancer.
Yeah.
So here on Cosmic Cousins in 2018 and 2019, we worked on a project called Zodiac Queens, in which we named a queen for each of the 12 signs. And so Frida Kahlo is a Cancer. And so I'm pulling this image up just to like see if it brings up anything for you. I see a lot of connection between some of Frida Kahlo's offerings and some of the stuff that you do in the world. Frida Kahlo made her own clothes, and she was an artist, and a lot of it reflected on the past and honoring tradition and as a means to processing her grief. And so Cancer works through these deep emotions, creating beauty in the world. Mm-hmm. And you yourself are an artist and a designer, and I believe it's under the name, is it Modern Women?
Yeah, look at you doing your research with the Google, asking Jeeves about me.
You know? Well, I saw you gifted me this Dark Moon potion, which says Modern Women on the back too, which you had mentioned making a potion earlier on one of the moon cycles. And so did you make this Dark Moon potion?
It was a collaboration with the wonderful witch, healer, priestess, herbalist, Dory Midnight, who you should definitely have on Cosmic Cousins. She is an Aries, for what it's worth. Cool. And we collaborated in a day of brainstorming and thinking about essences, and she concocted these. I mean, the Dark Moon potion is my favorite. I'm born under a dark moon. It's the phase I really resonate the most with. I will say the Dark Moon potion packs a punch. And did you try it?
I can echo that.
It was
no playing. Joke. I mean, I know I took it on the solar eclipse, new moon in Sagittarius that we just had a few weeks ago. So it was partly that, but it aided me so much. It was such an ally to me to soul purge. Like it felt like a deep soul purge. But I like look at this bottle now and I'm like, oh,
yeah,
I'm going to use you when I need to.
Not every day. Yeah. She's not for every day. Yeah, exactly. So I collaborate with other people. I make my own work. I've been doing that. I've been working for myself for about 9 years. I definitely resonate a lot with Frida Kahlo. Before I knew anything about astrology, probably like every young feminine person who is artistic really resonated with her work. I absolutely resonate with making art out of grief. A lot of my work, at least in the healing realm, has come through like my own healing work. So I've had to heal from abuse and PTSD and many near-death experiences. I have chronic illness. I have chronic injuries. I live in pain. I feel that connection to her, like through art making or through offering suggestions, ritual suggestions and tarot spreads and writings to help support other people, because I think that specifically in the New Age world, there tends to be some spiritual bypassing, which underscores people who live and exist joyfully outside of the dominant paradigm of white supremacist, cis male patriarchy. That it creates even more of like an othering. And I just want to remind, like, if I can just help a few people remind themselves that they are enough, that they are just as they are, that they're allowed to have all the gifts that they have, that they're allowed to bring those gifts out into the world. That's like really good enough for me, because that's been a lot of what my personal journey has been about.
Beautiful. What is it like for you you are a tarot reader, and to look at the Chariot card in context to some of what we're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I very much resonate with the Chariot. There's that container, right? Mm-hmm. There's that mix between heaven and earth, tangible reality. There's a lot of stuff for me with Chariot of like integrating downloads, staying protected, moving forward, evolving. Right. I think one of the phrases for the Chariot is mastery through change. And that's definitely been one of my life's projects for sure. I very, 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 very much resonate with Chariot, and also Chariot's teacher card, which is the Tower. I often in my life find myself, for me, one of the messages of the Chariot is like going beyond, like always having to go beyond. And sometimes you're like, wait a minute, like I'm tired, like, hold on, like I need to like get rid of all of this and begin again. Like, wait a minute. And I think that the Chariot is always trying to keep us evolving, and is always trying to keep us moving forward, whatever that looks like. So yes, I very much resonate with Chariot energy. I've definitely had to work on integrating a lot of different things in order to feel more secure in my life.
Yeah. And just to reflect back or clarify for those listening, the teacher card, I believe you're getting from the Tower, which is number 16. And if you add up the digits 1 and 6, we get 7, which is the Chariot. And I wrote down on my little sticky note here when I was listening to your podcast, stepping forward in alignment with your truth. This is something that you shared. And I felt like that was so cardinal water of Cancer, and also very Chariot, stepping forward in alignment with your truth. And so, yeah.
What's your take on the Chariot, Jeff?
Yeah, the Chariot for me, well, I'm echoing everything that you just shared. I think something I'd add to it is it's the final card of the first row of the major. And so there is that shift of the Chariot has gone through the if it's the Fool's Journey, gone through the initiation of the first row, and is now ready to go into the underworld. And so I imagine packing up the Chariot and ready to go deep into the unconscious, which Cancer helps aid us in as well. So yeah. Something else that I thought was quite Cancerian about your work too, you spoke to lineage on your most recent episode of your podcast, and Cancer is connected to honoring one's ancestors and lineage, but you expanded it beyond the meaning of like blood lineage. And you talked about lineage as like, if you're a tarot reader, the lineage of tarot readers. And so I'd love to just hear you talk a little bit more about this. If you're interested in this topic too, I'll also put a link in the show notes to the podcast episode. But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on lineage.
Yeah, lineage is such an expansive term. And I think that sometimes for folks who don't know who their birth family was, or if, say, they were disowned or don't feel comfortable being with their, birth family lineage, we can think about a chosen lineage, similar to a chosen family, that a lot of us have had to build because maybe our family of origin wasn't always supportive to us, or maybe we aren't speaking to them, or whatever else that kind of looks like. So I think that it's this beautiful idea where we can call in those who have inspired us. You can have a witch lineage. I'm sure, Jeff, you have an astrology lineage. You can have an art lineage. You can even look to, say, where you were born. Say, for me, my ancestors came from Eastern Europe for the most part. You can look to that land, like land as lineage. You can look to traditions as lineage. It's not just, your great Aunt Sally or whatever. Like, not all of us have that privilege. And I think that, especially, I can only speak for myself, part of doing the work of white supremacist remediation, where I come into contact as a white person with ancestors that maybe were violent or maybe were oppressive, and doing that remediation with them. I absolutely do that, and I see where it lives in myself, and that's part of what I need to do as a white person in terms of my ancestral work. Not all of my ancestors. A lot of my ancestors were diasporic. I'm Jewish, and a lot of them were fleeing persecution. So it's complicated. All of our lineages are complicated. But what I have found, not only do we need to bring levity into our ancestral remediation or our ancestral work in the form of cooking good food, in the form of ways that aren't as intense as the more shadowy work, but also looking to, my queer ancestors, looking to my witch ancestors, looking to my, the artists I really admire. We're able to construct constellations of lineage that go far beyond just, our familial line. Like, all of our ancestors, the ancestor we all have in common is water. The ancestors we all have in common are the stars.
Yeah.
Like, we can expand beyond, we can vision beyond. And, I always say, like, take what you'd like and leave the rest.
Yeah. Yeah, all of our ancestors have danced under the moon, have looked up to the moon. And so a lot of what you're sharing, I think is going to really speak to some of the deeper emotions we might be feeling on this Cancer full moon too, because the Cancer full moon always takes place during the holiday season, so it does bring up that family. And for me, someone that I think of in terms of lineage would be Pamela Coleman Smith, the creator of the Rider-Waite-Smith Centennial, is the deck that I use. And she was an Aquarius, so I feel super connected to her. And so just honoring her today under the light of this full moon. So it's so cool to hear you speak and to communicate. I think we're shifted into your Gemini moon now. We've talked about your podcast. You're a writer, Gemini. The moon is important for all Cancer. So if you are a Cancer listening to this, knowing your moon sign is going to be really important for you to understand the way in which your Cancer energy may be expressed. And so for you, Sarah, the divine communicator, and I kind of shift images here. We have Stevie Nicks here on the Lovers card.
I love this.
Yeah, so Lovers
Amazing.
is soul growth. We got Stevie Nicks inspiring us to connect with Gemini. And so, yeah, we already talked about how Gemini is connected to the neighborhood, but it is connected to duality. We talked about that a little bit, to gender fluidity, to light and dark, expressing dark parts of the soul in an airy and uplifting way, not in a reflective way like Cancer. So there's a little bit of shape shifting here. Communication. You said earlier that you are an introvert, and I've even heard you speak about how communication has been something that you have had to learn about, and it hasn't always come as easily to you. But that's part of how you are encouraged to grow. And so, what practices do you have in your life that have helped you unlock your writing, your voice, your throat, these sort of things?
Oh, yeah. It's so funny. Like I shared, I think what I shared about your listening to recently, I've never shared publicly. I was very, 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 very almost publicly mute, like not speaking from the age of like 7 or 8. I was that shy, 7 or 8 to like about maybe 20. And of course I would talk, but it was incredibly fraught. It was incredibly painful for me to speak with people looking at me. It just was, I kind of know, I've gone to therapy. I don't need to have therapy with you now, Jeff, but I kind of know where it came from. But I was so introverted, and, I have really intense ADHD. And part of that is having dyslexia. And part of that is like, not being able to string sentences sort of together in the right way. Like it doesn't really make sense, but it makes sense in my mind. So any kind of communication has been something that I've had to learn. And just as you said, Jeff, it was always spirit kind of coaxing me out, or telling me, oh, I should write, or telling me, oh, I should do this, or having jobs where I had to pitch ideas to CEOs or teach 30 kids in college, and when you kind of have to do that as your job, you learn ways to, even like, this is how corny I was. I would like Google how to make small talk with a person. Like I would like Google it as like a 20-year-old, because I didn't really know how to relate to other people, because it was almost as if I was so alien. I wasn't sure what other people cared about. And everything that I cared about was so weird and intense and bizarre and like gay or witchy or whatever. So I had to kind of learn that skill set. And I also would practice. I would do a lot of practicing. Another tip I learned, if you're talking, fellow introverts uniting, if you're talking to a group of people, like a classroom of 30 kids, always look just ahead of the horizon line of someone's eyes, because it doesn't make you uncomfortable, and it won't make anyone else uncomfortable, because actually people sometimes feel uncomfortable if you're looking right at them and talking. Or pick one person who's your friend and be honest. All of those things, like straight up, I had to learn, and I still am learning, and I still make mistakes with communication basically every time I open my mouth or put out a newsletter. So I also want to be this proponent of learning and growing in public, and not waiting until you're, quote, perfect to do something that you feel called to do, because it's just what we got to do through this life. If any of us waited until we felt comfortable to do anything, I don't know that we would fulfill our soul's path.
Yeah.
What about you? Like when you jumped into your line of work, did you feel comfortable?
No. And I still don't. Like every time I sit down to interview someone or record a podcast, I get really nervous. I too am quite introverted, and actually physically writing out helps me. So I've taken a lot of notes for our time together, just in case I start to fumble on my words, and they're just there in case. But writing it out has always helped me. And so before I had a podcast, I would write post on Instagram and then unlock my voice in that way. And then it kind of starts to build momentum. And once you start writing posts, then you can have a podcast and you'll be writing books. And so it's just, if you have something to share with the world and you feel that call within you, just keep at it. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I love that so much.
Yeah. So we see the Lover's card here, which is soul growth for Gemini. And so it is actually highlighting a lot of the relationship focus of what you were sharing of, because even when you said I'm looking at this, the person on the left who's female bodied here is actually looking up to the horizon, which is what you said when you're talking to a group of people, or looking up towards the angel, or Stevie Nicks in this case.
And the other thing too, that's been just to be really clear, I teach, and I love being with the folks who sign up for my classes. I love my tarot clients. I don't get nervous when I'm with, in those kinds of environments. So I don't want folks who are listening who've taken the class from me to be she doesn't want to be here. I want to be here, or else I wouldn't be doing it. But
exactly,
part of that that's been the gift of pushing past my own limits, which is I've been given the gift to connect to so many people I never would have had I decided to not communicate because I was, in quote, bad at it, or, not trained or whatever. So I also, anyone listening, this is the other thing, anyone listening, 2021, my babes, this is the year. This is the year to put your heart forth, to put your yearnings forth. Like, this is the year to step into yourself and your life in ways that you've been visioning and dreaming and, thinking about. Like, this is it. Are you feeling the same way about 2021?
Yeah, a lot of, when you're saying the heart too, I mean, when I see the Lovers as soul growth for Gemini, it is about dropping out of the head and into the heart. And so when we're connecting with other people, teaching, writing, whatever, it is dropping into the heart space and remembering about connection. And when you're saying this is the year, we have the north node of the moon in Gemini, all of 2021. So we have the Gemini eclipse axis that's encouraging us to go towards Gemini, to share our truth. That is also being further supported by the Aquarian energy too. Yeah. So much resonance with what you're saying. And so Gemini moon, Cancer sun, and then to complete the triple tier, we have your Taurus rising. And here's the Hierophant tier.
This is she. Here she is.
This is Cher, Queen of Taurus, as the Hierophant tier.
Cher's in my book. I wrote Cher, and you'll have to look for it.
Well, you're a Frida Kahlo sun, Stevie Nicks moon, and a Cher rising, if that helps you connect with your astro energy. So Hierophant, this is cool, is in the year 2021 is a Hierophant year. So, and I know that you have a workshop coming out on embodying the Hierophant, and I'm wondering if you could give us a little teaser of what you are sensing about 2021.
What not am I sensing? Yeah, I think that for me, the big word that's coming up is embodiment with the Hierophant. As you know, Jeff, the Hierophant is so much about being a translator of the divine, putting what we learn or circling and dancing with the mystery or the greater cycles of evolution that we all move through in one way or another, and putting it in a container or putting it in or becoming the channel of it so that other people can be introduced to it, so that other people can access certain points of knowledge. And what is really going to happen is, I believe, we're really going to be looking at how we stay spiritually fit. We're really going to be looking at ethics. We're really going to be looking at what we're saying and what we're doing are in alignment. To me, that's very Hierophant. And this is about both becoming your own teacher, figuring out what spirituality looks like and feels like for you personally, and not just seeing folks who say they're teachers as teachers, but really seeing everyone as a potential teacher. I think the Hierophant encourages us to rethink systems of hierarchy and to rethink gatekeeping and to rethink giving our energy away. And part of the key of staying in our own energy is this practice of embodiment and remembering that we all have access to the same knowledge bases, feelings, emotions. We all have the access to energetically master ourselves, right? And I'm actually excited about some of the positives that this archetype can help all of us bring forth.
Yeah. It's so cool to hear you talk about it. And I've noticed that with the Hierophant, a lot of people have such different ways of looking at it, which is really mind expanding for me, because this is actually my birth card or my soul card. I'm a 5. So I'm looking forward to experiencing that and what that entails for me. What's your soul card? You're
a 5 in a 5 with all this Aquarian energy. Yeah. So here we are, babe. I am a 7 in a 7. Like, I'm a 7 with Chariot. So that's me. Yeah. Some double Chariot action going on. The other thing the key phrase I think about with Hierophant is the work of your life. And not like the work, like what you do for a living, but what really is the work of your life. What are you healing? What are you here to learn? What are you here to uncover? What are you here to get really good at? What are you here to help other people with? Who are you here to serve as, a servant for or a helper for? How will you be of service? What is your connection to the divine, and so on and so forth? I think the Hierophant is one of the most misunderstood archetypes, definitely in the first line. So I think that next year is going to be really great because we'll get to see some of these themes, both shadow and positive, play out, and we'll get to interact with this energy in a way where we'll all be able to make our own interpretations of what is resonant for us. And that is very Hierophant.
Yeah, I love it because you're expanding it beyond what I think a lot of the fear and contraction people have around about it with like religion and what that might entail to each person listening. So yeah, I'm also, for me with the Hierophant, something that I connect with, and thinking of it in context with Taurus too, is the importance of earth to aid us in our rituals. And so I also see it as a highly creative energy of like building an altar, or like thinking of like Cher here as Queen of Taurus is like having elaborate costumes that are a sacrament or a testament to the divine that lives within. And so this is, I feel this reflected in your Taurus rising. Taurus is a sign of generosity and beauty, fashion, of self-worth. And I have to be honest with you, you're the first person who's been on Cosmic Cousin who actually mailed me not only your book, but also a planner, the Dark Moon Potion. And so to have these physical items, which, by the way, they're very stunning, they're very beautiful, aesthetically pleasing. So just having these books, being able to hold them, and not even read them, but just to hold them is some major Taurus healing for me. And you sending these physical items is a testament to your ability to manifest abundance and then share it with the world generously. And this is the medicine of Taurus. So has this always come naturally to you, this relationship to worth in the physical realm? I know that you do. You are a designer. You are an artist. This is supported by the Cancer and the Gemini, but also the Taurus is the ability to actually like manifest it. And as you said, the Hierophant is also about embodiment too, and so is Taurus. And so how does reflecting on this in context to Taurus and the Hierophant, what does it bring up for you as a Taurus?
I love everything you're talking about Taurus. I love Taurus. One of my best friends is a Taurus. One secret superpower I feel like Taurians have is their ability to harmonize spaces. Like they can walk into a room, or like my friend who's a Taurus he has to manage teams of people in intense situations. And he's so good at bringing this like green, grounding, harmonizing energy. So people just feel a bit more calm, a bit more like, for me as a Taurus rising, I really, really value harmony. Like I really, really value the beauty that can come when everyone stays in their own resonance, Taurus, I'm ruled by Venus. I love beautiful things. I love linen sheets. I love colors. I love red lipstick. We're here on Earth, you guys, let's take care of her, and let's worship all of the flowers and the plants and the trees and eat delicious food and care for each other. Radical generosity has been one of my key phrases for a very long time. It is probably one of the reasons why my business has been successful, is because I believe in radical generosity. I believe in giving gifts. I believe in, I love that aspect of myself. That's definitely my love language. I will send you a gift if I admire you. I will bring you flowers. I will make a tincture and send it to you. Maybe that's the Cancerian too, but I love style. I love fashion. I love aesthetic. I don't think it's shallow. I don't think it's superficial. I think that these are the ways in which we reflect energy and essence and who we are to ourselves and each other. So, and I love, Jeff, that you brought up the Taurian connection to Hierophant, because one, whenever you get stuck with a card, you can always look up the astro correspondence, and that can help you. Sometimes, not always. I'm sort of a stick. I'm like, why is the moon with Pisces? The moon should just be the moon. But again, I'll leave that there for another day. But it's all made up. It's all made up by people. Let's just remember this. But the thing with Earth is like, we got like a nudge and Empress, here a few years ago, but this is do or die time with sustainability, with ending factory farming, with thinking about what we consume, with understanding that our resources are limited. And I think that's really interesting with all this Aquarian energy coming in as well, because there's going to be technology and innovation, and we're going to understand. I think we're also shifting from like what is very valuable also is information and like how we're using the tools that we have. So I'm really hoping that next year, we're really going to understand that we have to take care of the earth. We have to take care of the planet. It's the only one we've got, Yeah.
I think a lot of what you're intuitively picking up on too is in context to this Aquarian energy of this great conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius. Aquarius, one of its ruling planets is Uranus, which is currently in Taurus. And so that great conjunction is in many ways answering to Uranus and Taurus. And how are we being innovative in our relationship to the earth? Are we slowing down and actually listening to the wisdom of our five senses? And how does that activate and awaken our sixth sense? And so I've even found myself at this great conjunction being really connected to the earth and wanting to make things with my hands, like actual physical. So I'm learning how to solder right now because I want to make a crystal grid on my ceiling, like with the crystals hanging down. And so it's very Aquarian, but also very Taurus because it's connected to the earth. And so the earth is here as our ally. And right now on the great conjunction, Uranus was at the same degree as Black Moon Lilith in Taurus too. So it is unearthing this radical queer witch as connected to the Taurian archetype too. So there's just so much here with Taurus, and it's being supported by the tarot year card too. And so I'm excited to see how it unfolds. And I'm excited for those listening. If this topic is resonating with you, Sarah does have a workshop coming out, right? On embodying the Hierophant.
And you have a workshop on Black Moon Lilith, right?
I do, yeah. Unleash the Queer Witch in Your Chart, it's called. So if you're interested in learning more about the Hierophant, you could check out that workshop. And what kind of things will you be doing in that workshop?
I think we're going to be exploring the ways that we can embody different aspects of ourselves and our energy. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So again, I'll put a link to that in the show notes. And it's been such an honor connecting with you today. And I've really enjoyed this time that we've had together. And I'm just wishing for you that deep rest over the next few months as you kind of disconnect from Instagram, or, I'm wishing for you a happy Cancer full moon. And any final words for us as we close out?
It's just been so lovely to get the chance to be with you and connect with you. And I love your work. And I'm just so grateful that you're out here doing your thing. And I'm wishing you all the best. So many blessings on this full moon and beyond into 2021.
Thank you so much. Well, that was such a sweet convo with Sarah. I really enjoyed that. And thank you for sticking around and being here with me. And it's been such an honor to be here with you in 2020. The podcast has been around for 3 years, and I really look forward to continue to support you, particularly on the new and the full moons as we head into 2021. Again, my name is Jeff Henshaw. I am an astrologer and tarot reader. I do have readings available in February and March of 2021. And I also have a new 6-month ritual immersion called the Fool's Journey that is available to sign up for. And enrollment starts on January 5th. And so if you'd like to learn more information, you can check the links in the show notes. Be sure to sign up for the newsletter. You can rate, review, leave some comments and love too. It's been a while since I've received any comments, so I would love to hear what you all are thinking about the show. And so again, Happy New Year to you. Happy Cancer full moon, and I'll see you on the other side. Take sweet care, cousins, and remember, deep breaths.